right. Hi, hello, and welcome back. This is Mark Delacroix yet again coming to talk to you about Lorelink and the Fallout RPG. Hopefully I am audible and subtitled. So, let's go ahead and flip to this screen. You can see a bunch of tabs out there. Nope, not that. Definitely not that. No tunes. Oh, because that pretzel is just really... There we go. That's better. Okay. There's the music. Alright. I am dealing with a new set of headphones because my old ones sadly died horribly in a fire, as it were. So there's a little bit of oddness with my voice or my basically or headphones and things like that. Let me know, as I may or basically I may be dealing with tech issues and things like that. So, all right. So, what are we here to talk about today? Well, if you were here last week, either catching the stream live or on the YouTube channel, we went through and talked about Modiphius's Fallout, the role-playing game. That is this actually working? Hey, it is kind of working. So basically, the Fallout City is a collaboration between them and Bethesda. It is a 2d20 system, basically using d20 rolls and target numbers to define successes for a more success-based role-playing campaign. So what we're going to talk about today is basically we are this Friday, starting at 12:30. We are going to be running the Fallout RPG with the Fallout crew, with the Lorelink crew here. So I'm going to show basically a campaign I'm going to set up in Lorelink, and then I'm going to run the game and basically stream. Basically, you can see me streaming both the game, basically with the players, and as well as being able to see me using Lorelink to look things up, to reference things, take notes, etc., etc. So all of that will be happening this Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So, that said, basically I'm going to then going to go ahead and just pretty much start from the beginning of this adventure, and basically start taking this apart. So, look, we talked about last time that basically Fallout and a lot of post-apocalyptic type games, a lot of what they are kind of revolves around locations. Locations and events are your biggest, your biggest thing you're going to be looking at, as well as basically depending on what aspect of Fallout you're looking at, you're probably also going to be looking at tags as well, because you're going to have a decent number of factions. So let's go ahead and start with factions just to get those set up so we can quickly tag things as we create them. So let's go ahead and start with tags. So we'll flip back to our planning view here. Okay. You can see we already started with one, Brotherhood of Steel. And so what else do we got in here? Okay. We definitely have basically the Brotherhood of Steel. We're probably going to have our opposing side. We're going to basically Institute Scientist. While she is in her human form. Die Streamlabs, how you doing? So we'll go ahead and create the Big Science Institute. I spelled that wrong. Thank you. Alright. We have a vault. In this particular case, which vault is it? Which vault number do we start with in this one? Vault 75 is the player character vault. Is there a different one? Let's see. Vault 95 is the other one. I don't think Vault 95 actually appears in this adventure outside of that one. Okay. So we'll tag vaults, or vault tag to be more precise. Okay, now Streamlabs is being an overachiever. Let's see here. We'll have the survivors. Survivors. Let's see here. Anything else we need to tag out faction-wise? Basically, as this is a quick start, there's a little bit less faction stuff. Basically, there are definitely towns and other stuff you're going to encounter, and we might as well include the town as a tag, because that will help us sort things later. So let's go ahead and create that town as a tag. We've got Bleakford. Okay. And I think that's it. Science Institute. And that's a conclusion. Right. Okay. All right. So, basically, we've created these tags. If we want to include more details about them as we come across them in the adventure, we will do that. Let's go ahead and set locations up next. You can see we already did a little bit of that in the last let's get into the last one. So let's go ahead and finish filling that out. Joint Base Lewiston, Cullen Bridge, Town of Bleakford, the Vertebrate Crash Site. We have a couple more locations under the town. There we go. Let's quickly create those. And I do need my white space editor. All right. And again, basically the reason why I'm doing locations first is because of the fact that I want to build this out, because I want to have a good sense of understanding of how this world is kind of put together. Because this is basically it is a quick start mod adventure, which means it is by default somewhat straight, narrow. But basically, even so, I still want to, when I'm working with the players, I want to create the appearance of a basically the appearance of a more populated world. Basically, and so Okay, there's that, there's that. Okay. Let's get, actually, I said neighborhood. I don't know if neighborhood is actually a location. There's the apartments. I think I was using that as a shorthand for the houses. There we go. So let's go ahead and update that one. And it's because of the fact that I want this basically to be more of an experience, basically more of a kind of at least feel like you're in a bigger world that has been narrowed. Like that's the interesting thing. Like basically with urban fantasies, a lot of the times you can kind of get into a mindset of all that exists is just the town that you're in, the road to the dungeon, and not even that necessarily. And that's it. Basically, that's all you've got. Basically, to deal with is just that. Let's go ahead and call this one out. As a child. And so, but I want the idea that basically you can lose light of the fact that like Forgotten Realms is a fairly terrible offender with this in terms of basically everybody knows the Forgotten Realms are this huge world and this D&D place, and there are lots of place names which get thrown around that everybody knows about. But I say everybody, basically a lot of when you're playing through when you're playing through, you know what? Where are my volume controls on? There they are. I'm going to take this down slightly. The music is a little louder than I like in my ear. Okay. When you're playing through the, just not that. Yep. And you're playing through the D&D world, you get you'll get a lot of here's Waterdeep, here's Baldur's Gate, here's the Sword Coast, Neverwinter. Basically, here's Icewind Dale, Spine of the World. But the thing is, all of those areas are in a very narrow area on the coast. But so much happens in there that you're given to thinking that's the entire world. And that's okay for a fantasy adventure, because a fantasy adventure really isn't necessarily about globetrotting and basically going all over the world and visiting different environments. A lot of the times it's Ravenloft. You're in a small, tight kind of area. Basically, you're in the Sword Coast. You're dealing with an adventure in a very small space. And it's kind of sparsely populated. Basically, much like kind of like in old video games where you're basically old video games or old cartoons, you knew what was going to move in the scene because it was the thing that had more detail on it. You know how to identify something in your fantasy world. If your GM gives a description of it, oh, that's probably the thing that we need to go investigate. Jokes about gazebos, withstanding, obviously. But you kind of want more. You don't quite want that same appeal or that same kind of design when doing a post-apocalyptic adventure. You kind of want the feeling that at least in games like Fallout, things like that, you kind of want the feeling of, yeah, you're in the middle of downtown Indianapolis, Chicago, New York. You can go anywhere, but odds are good that either A, there's someone else there, or if there isn't somebody else already there, something else is there and is going to eat you for going there. So you have to you have to be careful and pick and choose where you're going, and the player is basically the GM or the overseer in the case of Fallout is going to kind of paint for you, like for example, what we're building here is we're building out this town. It's the largest house. Does it actually say largest house in the thing? It does say the largest house. Okay, cool. But you want to basically paint the picture of this town that used to exist before the apocalypse occurred, and you can basically, you're just kind of putting in front of it and being like, hey, there's something interesting inside of this town. Oh, I can't read the slide. I always forget that I can't just make this maximized. The resolution of this does not match the resolution of this capture area for reasons. Make that a little bit bigger. There we go. There we go. And so, go ahead and save that. So I kind of want to, basically, you want to build out these locations so that you can present them to the players as this used to be formally functioning community. So if they say, I want to go to, basically, hey, maybe we should go check out the neighborhood. Basically, let's go check out the houses. Basically, where the people lived. Okay. Basically, let's go check out basically the coffee. Is there a coffee shop in town? I want to check out the coffee shop. Well, yes, there is a coffee shop in town. There is a Slocum's Joe in town. And because you don't want your players to describe the town and just be like, hey, okay, welcome to the town. There is an X, a Y, a Z. Basically, there's a large list of features in this town. I need to put this. There we go. Slocum's Joe. We've got better coffee than the other guys. Let's get across the Red River. Let's get across to the gas station. There's a donut and coffee shop. Let's go ahead and move this. There we go. Timer's being weird as usual. Okay. Alright, so we got the neighborhood, which has the mayor's house. Red Rocket Station, which I need to pull the text. Need to pull this, go here. Well, I'll just have to remember to say things on a regular basis. Nothing else. Bags of snacks. Thoroughly. We did. That is not how you spell thoroughly. Thoroughly. I feel like that's still wrong. My spell check just stares at me, I always want to say. There we go. Oop. How wrong was I? No, I'm just curious. Ah, that's the problem. I'm missing an O there. Thoroughly. There we go. Oh. I also feel like that's not the right spelling for refrigerators. My brain is. Yep, here we go. Yes, I use Google spell check. Yep. Sign that, save that. Okay. So basically, we're going to fill out this town as one of the major locations. So water tower. The water tower's got a bunch of stuff associated with it. Cool. There is a meme inside of the water tower, which is a choice somebody made at the 50th headquarters. Well, it is 46. The Paladin Role Playing Game. Oh, that was not. I forgot. I copied it into the line break and then copied it right back out because I'm like, you know what? Why would I actually? Okay, there's that. Basically, let's take the activating the computer. Actually. Next. Let's do that quote. To the content, yep. What's that lookup preview wise? Yes, okay, that's what I want to look like. Excellent, excellent. Yep. Yes, because even in the best case, I mean, it's 1950s retro future, so, you know, who needs password security in the Wasteland? You're here, you probably know what you're doing, right? Or you're going to get eaten. Okay. Grab those two, grab that. That. I mean, that's the security is obviously the least you're concerned. Alright, a successful int. Let's go ahead and call that out by bolding it. Let's include that in there. Dot in the middle of the word. There we go. Let's do the full thing. So I can see basically. I want to call that out as bold so I can basically pull that out when I'm looking at it much easier rather than going, oh, what's the difficulty of that test? Basically, while looking around, I could just look at it and be like, oh, it's that bolded text right there. Basically, there we go. Save that. And I'm fairly certain that's a reference to, I think there's a Reddit group called Hydra Homies. I'm betting that's what that is a reference to. Because I should have taped on the bottom of the keyboard. To be fair, it's 1950s tech, so the bottom of the keyboard, basically like the computer and keyboard are all kind of just one system, depending on how the terminal looks. Go back. What else do we have to? What else do we have to pull out in the town of Beakford? We had the radio station. Wakak Radio. Okay. Let's save that. Bickford. Wakak Radio. What's actually this one? I can just copy in. Got an area, and then I'm gonna copy the rest. Boop. And copy this in. Just copy, paste. Okay, get another test, so let's pull that out. To the barricade. Next there was a following note. Pull that out. Grab that, copy, line breaks, put that there. Paste that. Oops. I don't need that to. I don't need that to be called out quite like that. I want it to be called out like this. There we go. Double check to make sure it looks okay. It does. Awesome. That's the advantage of the preview button. Again, basically, the reason why so things that I'm writing in here, I'm writing in our base editor mode. This preview window shows me what it looks like in the view only mode, which is likely how I'm going to run the game, because I'm not going to need to be making a lot of changes to the system. So if I switch over to, let's save this, for example. So I've got this in view only mode. It gives me a much more condensed version of this. I can see this. If I do need to add a note, I've got this quick create a note button here that works even in view only mode. And I can quickly add a note about something the players have done, something the players have left behind, some interaction they've had. I can just add that there. To keep it secure, too much of a thing. Yes, but you put it under the keyboard because you want it to be a place where you can get access to it. And you figured that no one would ever look beneath a keyboard, right? Actually, I do realize I do need to double check. Where was that? Was it the mobile homes? Yes. Let's call that out as I need to do that. And this one dose of jet. Now, I could leave this here just as a dose of jet, but I am actually going to... we don't have, unfortunately, we do not yet have the Fallout system in our rules reference system, so I can't just do it the same way I would with Pathfinder 2nd Ed, for example. Basically, if I'm pulling up an item from that, so that's equipment. What is it? Treasure. Right. Treasure, and then stuff like potions and things like that. I could just add it in there, and then when I do that, boom, I have a quick link to it. There isn't really a easy way to do that with the Fallout system. They don't have a already nice and easy created SRD, much like Pathfinder already has out there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to call out the jet. I'm going to look up what jet is. I'm going to look up what jet is. And I'm going to hope that they actually define jet in the Quickstart rules. I mean, I have the full rules as well, but it would make my life easier if it was, you know, in the Quickstart. They didn't put bookmarks in the Quickstart. Ugh, that's terrible. Like, one of the characters is carrying jet. So you'd hope they'd define it on the character sheet? No? No? Okay, well, that's a good thing we have the full book then. Alright. Save me. Save me full rules guide. Creating characters, skills, blah, blah, blah. Cover, environment conditions. Armor and armor mods. Food. Chems. There we go. Everybody loves chems. Jet. Alright. Since I don't want to have to pull out that rule book when I am in the middle of the game, let's go ahead and pull that out. Opacity this page because I want to do that. Let's add that block in there. Remove light breaks. Copy that. Okay. So I wanted to call this out, but I don't basically, and so we have a reference system that allows me to link to items right there. I could also come down here. So there's two ways I could add this. If I was associating the game object, I could click associate game and do create new game object and do it right there. Or if I just want to link it inside this text using the reference system, I could use this quick create button, click item, we'll call it jet. It is chem stimulant, we'll call it. We'll add the text in there. We'll pull out the basically jettison hill stimulate. That's jet fuel. That's a variant of jet. Oh, okay. They have the actual definition for what jet does in a separate table. Ooh, okay. It's fun. Jet, there we go. Extra actions cost one less AP. That is duration is brief. Duration brief. Oops. Addictive. Much like most chemicals in the Wasteland. It is, yes, 2. Weight is less than 1 pound. Cost is 50. And rarity is 2. So we'll just pull all that out. If I wanted to actually build all these out, if I wanted to import that table, I would probably basically set these up as a custom field, basically create a template. Let's go ahead and save that, by the way. Create it as a custom template that has all those things such as duration, effect, duration, addictive, weight, cost, etc., etc. Actually, I may just go ahead and demonstrate that because I'm going to guess I'm going to need it later. So, 1 dose of, basically now we have items. We have our item, 1 item of jet. So now I save that, and now, when I'm looking at it in the thing, that jet's a link. If I open it up, takes me directly to jet. So when I'm running the game, basically I describe it to the players. I have an instant link to what it does, basically what it is right there. Also, now that it has been created, I could also, if I want to be able to just have, if I have a scene that has a bunch of stuff in it, and I want to be able to just see a quick list rather than reading through all of the text, I can go ahead and associate the game object right there. And now it's basically, now it's a linked item right there. And I can go to it that way as well. All right, so like I was talking about with templates and wanting to create items. So I've already created the first one, and basically, usually this is how it happens. You get through the first one, you're like, oh wait, there's a lot of good things in here which are going to be, I'm going to want to template. So let's go ahead and first set the custom fields. So first one is effects. Chem effect. Yes, let's create another one, which is the duration. Length of effect. Also short. Let's create a addictive. It's also going to be short because they've combined 2 pieces of information in that field. It's not just a Boolean value. How does addiction work? I should make this bigger so I can read it, not just squint. Basically, when you take an addictive chem, roll a number of dice equal to the number of doses you take in this section. If you roll a number of effects that equals or exceeds the chem addiction number noted after the yes in the addictive column, you become addicted to that chem. So let's define that as You know what? Let's just go ahead and call that a number. If it isn't addictive at all, we'll just make it a 0. That's fairly easy to keep track of. Actually, yeah. Because all the values are either yes 2 or yes 1, so, or no, so that'll be easy to keep track of. Okay. Wait. Yes. Stream Level Rising. Basically, I am plotting this out for the game we will be playing this Friday at 12:30 p.m. We don't have that on there, but just so you know, it is at 12:30 p.m. So we're starting in the afternoon so we can get it all the way in. Oh, you're working on it. Oh, okay, cool. All right, all right. Wait. And you know what? I'm going to treat weight as a number because less than 1 is a weird way of indicating. Basically, weird way of indicating it is. It's probably one of those where it is once you carry a certain number of them, they actually weigh a pound, but until you hit that point, it doesn't matter. I'm doing a quick search to see if I can confirm that. Oh wait, there's weight. Ugh. The weight in pounds for the basic entries for this chapter. This is basically before any alterations to the mod. Ugh. How about encumbrance? Some items have a listed weight of less than 1. This means you can carry them. That means they only weigh a fraction of a pound. You can carry as many of these items as you want without penalty. So the GM may rule that a large quantity, say 10 or more, of such items weigh 1 or more pounds. So they are effectively 0 unless your GM has decided that you're abusing the system. Got it. Hold that. 0, 1, 2. This is 3. I think I need to edit the other ones to actually be 2, 1. Cool. Last thing. Go back to jet. Whoop. And cost and rarity are the last 2. Cool. Cost. Caps. That's obviously a number. 4. And last but not least, rarity. Which I bet you rarity was on that, defined on that page as well. Okay, that's also a number. Cool. Okay, so now I've called all those out, and rather than having them basically defined like that, I can now take all these, pull them out, and populate them down here. Again, we made this a number of 2, weight is 0, cost is 50, rarity is 2. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and clear that out. So, now again, we've created this thing, we've got all these custom fields and things like that. Let's make sure we save that. And you're like, oh, I should really duplicate this format on any other items I use. But man, that's going to be a pain to do. Okay, let me go ahead and basically just create template from lore. So I click that button. You sure you want to create a template from this lore? Description, only custom fields are... only default and custom fields basically with their values will be copied to the template. Yes. Okay, and I'd like to link the template to the current one. Okay, yep. Go ahead and override those. Repopulates all of them. Perfect. Let's go ahead and unlock those. And the name. Okay. So we've got all those. We got basically those are now from the template rather than being local. So what that means is if I go to items now, I'll have this, now this jet exists as a template, and I can change this to be a chems. I don't need that. And these can be empty for when we're copying from the template. So I'm going to save that. Now I made a bunch of those changes. If I go back to the item, all my details are still here. Oops, it relocked those. It did screw me up on those. Oh well. Basically, because I changed them there and they were locked to it. That means that oops, addictive is in the wrong order. Woo. Okay, effects. I need to rearrange these. I think it screwed up the order when it P. Duration is brief. Rarity was 2. Addictive was 2. Weight was 0. And cost was 50. Okay, go ahead and save that input. Name, basically our name is still there, but now that I've done that, I want to go back here, and basically we saw the fact that these don't look quite right, so I'm going to... Okay, that's addictive is 0. Addictive should be 1. Rarity is the last one. So I get 5. Cost is 4. Weight is 3. Effects are 2. Effects are should be 0. Put that up to the top. And then duration should be 1. Addictive should be 2. There we go. Now those are currently basically those have been set up correctly. Now if I go back to Jet, yeah, it decided not to actually do that. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why that is a small bug. Huh, we'll have to take a look at that. Those aren't coming across correctly. Oh, I know why. Because I unlocked them. Because once I unlock them, it no longer basically treats them as being basically their own separate thing. Okay, that's fine. So, but if I create a new item, say for example, I want Grape Mentats. That's just a fun name. So I'm going to grab the chems template, confirm that, and now I can go through here, grab that. Everybody loves some Grape Mentats. There's Berry Mentats. Where's my Grape Mentats? There they are. Whoop. All I can think of right now is pens. Well, they're kind of like that. They are... Whoop. Oh, no, I didn't mean to get rid of that, but I did kind of because I want to grab that, do that, pull that out, grab that, copy that, remove line breaks, grab that, copy it in here. Let's also unlock that one, do that. Oops, that's just short, basically. A tin of Grape Mentats. So let's go and put the rest of that back in the description. Cool. Save that. Now if I go in here, all of those custom fields are just waiting for me right there. And so I can go through and I can unlock all of them because I want it to be unique. And the reason why you have a locking and unlocking system is sometimes you basically, if I'm creating something like skeletons or something like that, there might be things that I define for skeletons which I want to be true for all skeletons. And if I realize that I've changed it or I want to basically do something with it, I might choose to instead pull the basically change. I want to be able to change it in one place and have it affect all of my skeletons rather than having to go through each and every skeleton and change it. So let's go ahead and grab this effects, duration, lasting, addictive, yes, 2, weight 0, cost 60, basically, and rarity 3. You got one if you walk in and you're like, hey, can I try those Grape Mentats? And then basically oh hey, I'll buy them for you. And now I can get a better price for it. Is there a strict no trying the Grape Mentats? Though I do have to grab just because it's a fun image. Let's go ahead and do a quick. I need to paint. I need to crop that. Save that. Call it that. Close that. Let's go ahead and add an image to this. Oops, I need to unlock it because it's on the template. Okay, basically that's really helpful if I wanted just a default image for all chems. I can have just a default image for chems. That way I can easily identify them in lists and other stuff without having to basically look through every name and basically search to make sure. Let's go ahead and upload a new image. And we'll grab quick start images. Not exactly for the quick start, but there. Look at that wonderful Mentat tin. That's Fallout. Post-apoc. That's name boldly. Bottling boldly. Right on the cover. On the top. Super producer, basically. Come on. There we go. Company name. Save that. Now it's going to take me. It's going to finish uploading that. It's going to deal with the fact that it's like, hey, there's a bunch of other stuff being uploaded right now. Did you know that? Do you know you're uploading a lot? Yes, thank you. Almost like I'm streaming. Nope, I didn't put that in Fallout. That just probably ends up in home, didn't it? Yep, it ends up in home. We will insert that. We will save that. And now we have that tin. I want to make sure I move that image back. I can go here, move, say hey, throw that into, where's Fallout? Fallout, disappears from there. Now it's in my Fallout directory with everything else. And it's still there. And now when I look at items, I can easily pick those out because the image appears right there. Cool. All right. Basically, so we've got that. We did all of that so that our location back here in the town, basically because that was in the mobile homes, we just have that link. So now we have all that information that we need about that chemical. Will be right there. And we don't have to do that same game we just did with, okay, basically look it up, check the quick start rules. They're not in the quick start rules. Okay, let's check that, etc., etc. Same thing can basically be said with this rat roach as well. Let's do a quick check on the quick start rules. Do we have rat roaches? Show me rat roaches. We have the ghouls. We have a rat roach swarm called out. Okay, so these quick start rules are missing a couple of things, it appears. So, it's okay. We'll handle that with Lorelink. Grilled rat roach, in case you're wondering if people will eat them. Alright, hatchlings. They're about the size of a red roach. There we go. Red roaches. So let's go ahead and we'll do this the other way. So if I come down here to associate game object, I can do create new game object, create creature, call out red roach. Again, basically we could set up a template for this. We're just going to do this quickly. Level 1 mutated insect. Let's grab that description, put that in there. There. let's call out their stats. But I melee guns other. Okay, we need to break that up slightly better. Ah, the dangers of copying for a PDF. And someday we'll be able to pull from PDFs in a way that actually is useful. But that will take some time, and there are a lot of other features of Warlink we're looking to build on before that. Oddly enough, rad roaches have a 0 gun skill. Who knew? Could have been anybody. Nobody wants to see rad roaches with guns. Though I'm sure. What did I say? Rad roaches have 0 hit points. Yeah, they just die. 9 and 2 defense. There we go. All their physical damage resistance, energy damage resistance, radiation damage resistance, and poison damage resistance. It will not surprise you to find out that while they do not have energy or physical damage resistance, they are just flat out immune to radiation and poison. Because roaches. Red roaches firing guns would be a horrible vault experiment. Yeah. One can see basically, like, I won't say it won't happen, and may not have happened already in Fallout somewhere, but one die, radioactive physical damage. Okay, and then they have a bunch of abilities on top of that. Let's grab those. I mean, based on many other things that are false experiments, that's saying something. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and pull those in. Sneaky. Butchery. Pull over. Grab that. Roof line breaks. Grab that. And add that to the bottom here. Immune to radiation, immune to poison. Let's go ahead and pull those out. Radiation. Immune to poison. Little. Sneaky. And just like any good post-apocalyptic game, you're going to want to basically take them apart and see what you can eat out of them. Or, basically in this case, you get 1 portion of rad roach meat. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And basically, since I've saved that, they get associated automatically with it. I can use them anywhere else as well, but they're automatically associated with this encounter. And I can also call it out in here as well. Call out creatures, rad roach, boom. Now I've got a link to the rad roach as well. So all of those are going to save me time when it comes to running this. It's just going to be spending a little bit more time in planning in order to make this basically get. Did 20 just call you a door? I mean, kinda. You make a better door than a window, so, you know how it goes. Alright, let's keep going with locations. See what else we can discover that may or may not be in here. Some of them, obviously, some of the encounters do have creatures which are set up in here. Like, some of those, basically, some of the other stuff is in here, but red roaches were not. Okay. What do we have? We have the mobile homes. We have the neighborhood. Does the neighborhood have something? The mayor's house. Oh yes, the neighborhood. Basically, the mayor's house has a bunch of stuff we want to call out. Okay. Call that out. Yep, and there's also that test I want to call out as well. Call that out. Save that. Okay. The food and water system in this game manages a rare double whammy, being readily on theme while being terribly bookkeeping. I mean, that's the thing, though. Whenever you're running a post-apocalyptic game, depending on the feeling you're wanting to go through, a lot of time you're going to have to force your characters and your players rather into a bookkeepy type situation, because it will basically it's on point and it's kind of part of the theme. Basically, like you said, it's being readily on theme. It's one of those where, like, you need to track. Basically, you want your players tracking. How much water do I have? How much food do I have? You want, when somebody offers them, hey, here's some water, it's going to be like, oh, good, thank goodness it's here. When they finish defeating a monster, they're thinking, can I get any food out of this? Because you want to kind of drive home to them that basically life in the wasteland is kind of on a knife's edge. And it doesn't take, basically, it may not be something exciting and interesting that ends up murdering you. It could just be you walked out in the desert too far and forgot to bring water. And now you're dying of thirst. I mean, it's up to you as a overseer in the case of this game, how much of that you actually want to enforce. If you want your party to be more invested in the story and the adventure and less invested in the keeping the book tracking elements, maybe make them part of an organization that readily provides that aspect gets taken away. Like you're part of the Brotherhood, or you're part of a vault, or you're some part of that kind of organization that is providing for you, basically providing for you from the start, so your player characters don't necessarily have to worry about that aspect. They just need to worry about other aspects of it. Irradiated dump. Everybody loves a good irradiated dump. I just said that. That had a terrible mouthfeel, and I kind of regret saying it out loud. Please don't. Flip that. Take that out of context. Boop. All right. And as a note, as I sit here and basically I deal with basically some of this, which is bookkeeping and things like that, I will remind people that basically we are doing this because we are setting up for a game which we are running on Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The other thing we are big news we're looking at in the month of June is the fact that we are going to be at Origins. So if you happen to be in the Columbus, Ohio area, we are at booth 713, near the front of the exhibit hall, vendor hall, dealer's room, however you want to call it. Basically on the right side, if you stare directly into the exhibit hall. Never stare directly into the exhibit hall. It's very dangerous. Let's pull that out. And let's call this out as a table. Break that off. Oops. 5-8 junk. Stare directly at the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall turns back. Be careful, one does not venture too deep. Basically, do not stare too deeply into the exhibit hall. Otherwise, one might become one yourself, or something. All right. Let's call this out as a read ahead, read aloud. A festering pile of refuse. And of course, now we get basically basically scavenging is one of the more interesting parts of a post-apocalyptic type world. Because as interestingly enough, basically you don't really see scavenging as something you do in fantasy RPGs. Though basically it is interestingly that it's kind of a basically scavenging is kind of a hallmark of fantasy computer RPGs or fantasy basically video games, where you will walk into a person's house and say, "Hey, do you have anything interesting?" Go through their stuff and come up with some random bit of small thing that's all of apparently is these people's entire uh, basically entire life savings is three gil, three money, or a bottle of a healing potion, or something like that. And you just walk in and basically throw a puck. Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's very much the same idea as that. Is kind of the idea behind scavenging in a post-apocalyptic world. You're looking for one bit of useful thing in a situation. Pressing the table button doesn't actually do it. You have something highlighted. You have to do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and call this out. Call this quantity. We'll call this item. Get rid of the last one. We'll take all of this. Replace that. Just build this in. Let's go ahead and save this. We don't lose all that work before we go into the dump. Yep. Did it actually come out correctly? Yes. So, basically, put it in there. It's kind of ugly looking in there, and it's kind of an ugly looking list in there. Now I can pull this up here. I don't think quantity is quite the right thing. It is. Let's see here. Where is salvaging in the rules? Ugh. Do a quick search through here. While I'm doing that, speaking of conventions, we are also excited to. I think, and then basically we're right on the edge of basically being able to give more details on it, but we are on the edge basically at this point. Unless something happens, we're returning to Gen Con as well. So if you can't make it to the Columbus, Ohio. The first you see, take everything was nailed down. Yep. That's the joy. Basically, that's kind of the reason why they're basically. It's kind of the interesting thing about post-apocalyptic type games is that becomes a survival. There we go. Scavenging. Difficulty, time taken, etc., etc. I'm going to call this out because I don't want to have to look this out later. So. Basically been untouched. I'm going to call this out. Untouched. Touched. Difficulty 0. Scale tiny. Okay. This is interesting because they have these things on. They're like degree, untouched, difficulty 0, scale tiny. Okay, these are supposed to be two separate tables. Wow. Okay, that is just a shame what I'm looking at. Ugh. This table is two different tables. They're just stuck together. This right here should be a divided line. Degree is only related to difficulty. Scale is related to example and time taken. Wow. Okay. That's a little confusing. Oh, yeah, well, they did that thing. Yeah. All right, so scale basically untouched difficulty 0. Basically scale large. Basically time 2 hours. There we go. Now that I've called this out, I'm going to do that. Okay. Everyone else assisting. There are supplies. Done listing is this. Receives the minimum items from the house. They roll 1 roll on the clothing table, 2 rolls on the food table, 1 roll on the beverage table, and 2 rolls on the junk table. Okay. Pass the test, scoring 3 successes, so he receives the minimum items. Okay. You find the minimum items for each category. AP may be spent on to gain additional rolls. Each AP spent allows you to make 1 additional roll on a loot table. Okay. This is number of rolls. And this is item table. Cool. Okay. So that makes sense. All right. That does mean, however, how complicated are those tables? Wow. I'm probably not going to spend all the time in doing this. This is something I'm probably going to put together later. But let's take, for example, where's clothing? There we go. So we'll take clothing and we're going to go ahead and create a new item called clothing loot. And we're going to go ahead and save that. And I'm going to link that right here. Get that so take that item. Clothing loot. Okay. You can see that's showing up correctly, so now that's a clickable link. So if I go into that link, let's go ahead and save that so we keep that. All right, now I've got this. Clothing random loot table. And we're going to use that same table thing we just did. We're going to call this out. All right. Again, it's a little bit of a mess, so let's actually do that slightly better. We'll grab 1 table at a time. Oh, we can't grab 1 table at a time. Ugh. You're making this slightly awkward here. Actually, I can do this. I just need to... I want to edit... That'll work. Copy image, redact. Yes, I'd like to redact this image. I'd like this, turn this into... Once a fantasy group that encountered a human-sized solid silver statue determined to be represented one of the mythos deities. They didn't want to attack because of the association, but that was too much silver to leave behind. So I had to figure out how much silver was in a 6-foot-tall solid silver statue. They then figured out how to transport it to a larger city of a larger forge capable of melting it down. Wow. Major catastrophe table. Oh, there we go. Can I... Will you... Let me do that. Recognize text. Would you like to recognize text? How about you pay us money? How about I don't? Thanks, though. So, luckily, Windows has a built-in OCR tool just built right into it in the snipping tool. That you can just click a button and it will pull text out for you. Oh, well, it kind of did. Interesting choices. You know, it's going to be easier if we just type this. All right, cool. Ugh. $2d20 roll. And then we'll call that out. Clothing. that, 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 that. Do this. Does that work? It does. Awesome. Alright, let's get rid of all these extra spaces we don't need. We'll make things work. This is the developer. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. Isn't that terrifying? Yep. And again, depending on, basically, if this was a longer term game, I could flesh out all of these different items and have their descriptions in here. Again, basically looking forward to the point where I don't have to consult the PDF for everything and search through it. So, is that so correctly? Oh, almost. Always one that messes it up. There we go. Okay, that's that set. Grab this second set. Grab that. Same thing. Oops. Go back here. Yeah. Everything goes dark. Okay. I want that. Give me that. Oh, you're showing it to me. You're just right. Okay. Pay attention to your screen. Awesome. Castle is kind of a money pit. You never buy a castle for the money, you know? It's always going, basically, you're always just going to end up dumping more money into it than you really get out of it. There are dungeons to maintain, monsters to pay, moats to keep water in. No one ever talks about how much trouble moats are to keep basically keep the water in, and then you have an upgraded moat that has crocodiles or alligators or other stuff in it. So that's just, now you're just getting expensive. New season on HGTV, Castle Flipper. She's a level 1, basically she's a level 1 commoner. He's a level 5 barbarian. Their budget is 22 million gold pieces. Tough clothing. Castle Hunters International. Like, there's a whole series of HGTV. What? Victor and Dutch just get. I said he did do rough math for me. He figured 3.75 metric tons. That's a little bit of silver, yeah. I mean, the market's gone now for silver in that town. But, you know, you do what you gotta do. Okay. Last set we do here. Okay, grab this. I realized he had the same wardrobe. I mean, gotta rep the brand and all that, you know. This is our Lurling t-shirt, which actually, if you're feeling particularly adventurous and you'd like to own one yourself, I believe they're still available for sale. Somebody in this call has a store that sells them. It's up to them if they want to post the link. They do? Yes. In fact, they do. Or they used to. We actually do have a merch store, technically. They're being silent, so I don't know. They may not basically. Tony may not be paying attention. Or either that or he's currently digging for the link, muttering about me. Alright, so there we go. Now we have that all set up in there. So again, basically, this is an optional step. I have the PDF. I can get to it as long as I know where to look at the PDF. I can find this information in there. But if I'd rather not, there you go. There's our TeePublic shirt. So if you're interested in repping the Lore Link brand, you can basically purchase T-shirts from there. Profits from that store go to benefit our employees. Employee. Lore Link receives no cut of that money. It's fun. Tony did all the hard work setting it up. It's fun. So there you go. Dark T-shirts and light T-shirts you can own. They're fairly comfortable. TeePublic has a nice fabric for their T-shirts. They're not see-through, like a lot of modern T-shirts feel like they are these days. Okay, so hey, dealing with TeePublic's website was a lot of work. I remember sitting there. I sat there with Nicole on you and with you as you did that, and then watched it explode, and then. But now I have that clothing loop right there. So basically, if I decide to, I can come in here. Once I get those all set up, I have the tables right there available for me. So I don't have to flip back to the PDF, flip through till I find it, then just get called out. One click, and I'm there. So I need to flip back to the adventure. Do I have any other locations in this town? I think I'm just about done with this town, which is convenient because we're just about out of time. Oh, there are a couple more things. We'll throw them in relatively quickly. We have the chapel and cemetery. Henley Chapel and Cemetery. Nothing bad ever happens to the cemetery. Boop-a-doop. Okay. We're going to dump this in the description. Oh wait, I need to... Yeah. Let's format this properly. We have a difficulty test. We'll call that out. Boom. And hopping back to the earlier conversation, basically doing random math to discover exactly how much trouble or basically either you or your players are in because of a situation they have ad hoc themselves into is a proud and glorious tradition of the GM. It has led to notable basically quotes in groups like one of my old game when I was a kid. Well, I don't know how much damage a falling water buffalo does. When you're flying over a dragon and someone has a bag of tricks and pulls out basically a slightly busted bag of tricks and pulls out a water buffalo and says, "Well, sorry, buddy," and then throws it at the dragon. Suddenly, a DM has to make some weird calculations. Terminal velocity is another one that gets calculated on a fairly regular basis to try to figure out exactly how fast a character might be falling. I'm asking a lot of ad hoc BS for this campaign. Yeah, urban situations are great for that because people understand what's going on, and so they can do those things that they've always had those weird, intrusive thoughts about doing. Especially when you make them fantasy, basically fantasy type characters in situations where they can survive doing stupid stuff, like jumping off of tall buildings. All right, last one is the Bleak for the Apartments. All right, grab that. Put that there. Grab this. Grab that. I think this is part of the description. Pull that out, make that part of the read ahead. Do that. Save. This area has lots of small areas attached to it, so let's go ahead and attach those. First one is 4. Okay, description. There. Save that one. Let's just go into Big for the part. Let's just highlight a little bit easier. Create new child location. Ground floor unit 5. And grab that. Oh wait, that's a separate one. Good. That, remove that, hide that. Description. Wow, okay. Let's just get rid of that for right now. Grab that, do that, do that. That's why you always review these adventures, because there might be some things which are, have some different context. I need to go. Catch you later, Tony. Hopefully the left side of your mouth will feel better soon. This, that, copy, paste. Door 2 is locked. We open with Fallout the test. Down with a athletic check. One. Counter table. Get all these things I'm calling. Basically, a lot of this. Some of these are tests. Some of the other stuff might be. Oh, there's several boxes of mentats. Basically, there might be things I link to that I've created, or I just want to call them out so I know to look them up when the situation arises. Grab that. Grab that. 3. Properly do that. There. And that. Okay. Call out the... Oh, that's the preview. I can't do anything with the preview. Call out barrel Googles. And call out the grilled radish. Cool. All right, so it is past 6:30, so we'll wrap this up basically. But a lot of what we're planning we did today is basically a lot of the planning I feel is kind of necessary because we've filled out a lot of detail in this town that is necessary to get basically, and we want this to be quickly available because we are essentially going to turn our PCs loose in this town. And where they go is up to them. They might choose to go to the apartments, the mobile homes, Slocum's Joe's, the WKAK. And unless you want to railroad your players and be like, you walk into town and this looks interesting, which kind of doesn't work as well for the post-apocalyptic. Again, like I said earlier, you want your characters to feel like, okay, they can go, they can explore. Like scavenging is its own unique thing. Like that time requirement we looked at gives you basically this takes you 2 hours, 5 hours, takes you half the day to get through this. Those are resources you're consuming to do that. And so now it becomes a game of how much do you press your own basically you're staying out later, which means okay, bad things come out at night. Okay, that's a problem. You're consuming food and water. Are you actually getting stuff out of this scavenging activity? And all of this stuff, you're basically bad things come out at night. Worse things. How about worse things? Maybe that's a better word for it. You lose the ability. Basically, you don't see as well as at night as the rest of the things do. So things get bad for you. Yeah, we'll go with that. Close enough. In any case, and again, basically, but all of those choices are going to be choices that your players are going to make on the fly. They're going to talk for a bit, then they're going to make that decision. They're going to go there, and if it's a small list, like they basically, but even a town of this size, you can see there are lots of little intricate pockets and details and scavenging stuff and things like that that are going to slow your game down if you don't. Basically, if you don't have things set up, or basically you're not quick, or you don't have the book memorized. And so that's what Lorelink is here to help for, to take a little bit of that burden off you and turn it into you're going to the apartments. Cool. Basically, I have a list of the different units you can basically that seem to have populated. I have a description of it, etc., etc. Other things basically I didn't get into. Basically, the town has a random encounter table. I'm going to set that up under the basically under child. Whoops, I need to go back up. I'm going to set that up under child. Basically, child description right here. Let's go ahead and turn preview off because I don't need all the extra. I'm going to set basically like they're going to have a thing like, okay, for as long as you're in the town, here are the things which can come after you in the town. Where is that random encounter table? Wicked Feral Girl. Oh, there it is. So they have a whole section right here. I'm not going to do a whole lot with it because we're at the end of it. But basically, let's see. So there's that. We've got a couple of tests in here. We're going to call out an encounter table we might build in. But the reason why we set that up as a child note is, like it says, when they enter an area like the Brisbane Mobile Homes or the Henley Chapel. So you're like, okay, I've got that set up. But obviously, if I'm in this notes thing and I go down here and I'm like, okay, or in locations, and they're like, oh, we're going to the chapel, and I just click on the chapel, you can see basically, okay, I don't have that. I have to stop and remember, oh, right, there are random encounters. What do those look like? What's that table look like? But I've got this note from the parent, which basically gives me all of that information right there that I don't have to page back in the book. I don't have to remember it. It's right there for me. And if I want more information about the town itself, I can click on it right there. Takes care of that for me right off the top. And basically makes it much easier for me to run the game. Again, Lorelink is all about making things smoother and easier and quicker to run. So you spend more time doing what you want to do, which is enjoying the game, spending time with your friends. So, all that was a lot of talk and a lot of setup, basically. And so, Childhood oops. I have a lot of those. So all this is in basically, we're setting all this up for the stream that we are going to be having this Friday at 7:30. I almost said this Friday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can catch us. Basically, we will start streaming at that time, and you will be able to watch us play. Basically, play through this encounter. You'll be able to see my finished notes and things like that, and how I use all of these to run the adventure. And then you'll also be able to have to see the fun of watching this group basically have fun and tackle the Wasteland if you're curious about how Fallout runs and basically what a post-apocalyptic games could look like. Especially if a group of people who have a reasonable passing familiarity with the games. And so all that to say, basically tune back in. As the note says, the easiest way for you to basically, if you're like, oh, I might not remember that, basically if you drop a follow right here on this channel, it will give you Twitch will give you a nice reminder that, hey, these people have gone live. If you happen to be on the Twitch, basically on the Twitch website, it'll pop up a little box. If you have subscribed to email notifications, it'll send you an email with a little brief description that I write telling you that, hey, we're playing this game. And you can also catch up on future streams because we'll be doing all sorts of interesting things in the months of June. Playing through Fallout. Mike will be back talking about the Pathfinder 2nd Edition adventure Quest for the Frozen Flame. I'll be looking at Daggerheart. We'll be playing through some older, newer tabletop role-playing games. And I think Mike might be back with his Pendragon, basically solo play that he's working on as well. That is currently up to him, so that's going to look forward to that. All of that is basically stuff that's coming forward. If you want to be notified about it, drop us a follow. If you want to say, hey, I like what you're doing and give us a positive note, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate that. And if you happen to have basically Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime Gaming subs, you get one free sub a month, so you can give us money directly out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and put it into ours. It's great. If you're watching this on YouTube, because we record all of these and we put them onto YouTube, so if you came in late and want to catch up more of this, or if you want to see my previous one where I talked about the Fallout game system more in depth, you can catch that on our YouTube channel. And basically, if you like the videos over there, you can like and subscribe. Subscribing over there will tell you that basically, it'll tell you when we go live, and we'll also let you know when we post new videos and things like that, like when we're doing tutorials and how-to videos and things like that for LoreLink. And again, basically conventions will be at Origins, booth 713, and we're looking to be at Gen Con in the Makers Market. That is no real booth number for that, but that is the connector between the basically the convention center and Lucas Oil Stadium. There's a little underground thing which has a bunch of cool kind of smaller indie booth, kind of almost a little bit more artist alley like, if you're familiar with artist alleys at basically conventions and things like that. Not that Gen Con doesn't already have an art thing, but it's just smaller maker spaces, essentially. So catch us there. We'll have cool swag for you to pick up, basically, and to look at. You can demo the system and say hi. So all of that to say, thanks for watching. Basically, appreciate your spending your time here, and we will catch you all later.